हेलो दोस्तों, बिगनर्स माइंड में आपका स्वागत है। और अभी हम कर रहे हैं सेंटेंस रीअरेंजमेंट। इससे पहले 3 चैप्टर कर चुके हैं, नहीं देखा तो प्लेलिस्ट बनी हुई है, जाकर देख सकते हैं। सेंटेंस reordering rearrangement is one of the important and easiest section of English language. Nowadays, in almost all competitive exams, they are asking questions from this area. With basic knowledge of English and little concentration, you can easily get full marks in this section. In sentence rearrangement, reordering problems, they will give you 4 or 5 sentences which lack of coherence, connection, and development. There will be only one way of rearranging them to acquire coherence, connection, and development. You should choose the correct arrangement from the given answers. Before going into details, let's have a look at some important tips. Types of question. These questions are usually of 4 types as follow. In the first type of questions, 5 sentences are given. Each sentence is labeled with a letter. The candidates are required to arrange these sentences in a proper sequence. When properly sequenced, these sentences form a coherent and meaningful paragraph. The candidate should choose the most logical order of sentence from among the given choices. Such questions are meant to judge the compositional and organizational ability of the candidates as well as their understanding of English. In the sentence type of questions, first and the last sentence of a paragraph are given and the candidate is required to place the rest 4 middle sentence in a proper sequence. The position of the first sentence S1 and the last sentence S6 are fixed, and the rest 4 sentences, usually named P, Q, R, S, are to be arranged in a logical and proper sequence so that a coherent and meaningful paragraph is formed. In the third type of question, 5 sentences marked A, B, C, D, E are given. They are jumbled up. The candidate is required to arrange these sentences in a proper order, and then he is to answer the questions given the respect to the order of the sentence. Example, which of the following should be second sentence? A, B, C ऐसे करके आ जाएगा. In the fourth type of questions, a sentence is given with some parts usually marked P, Q, R, S in jumbled form. Candidate is required to rearrange these parts in a proper sequence so as to form a meaningful sentence. The candidate should read all the parts carefully before arranging and try to find out the logical sequence. A little practice will give the candidate confidence of attempting such questions correctly. Approach to solve questions. The best approach is solve such questions is to develop a high reading speed and try to scan all sentences. Scan the answer options and see if they are of any help. Following points will help you in getting close to the situation. Try to understand the tone of author. Find the starting argument. In starting argument, author try to write about problem. Find concluding argument. In this argument, author gives his opinion about the problem. Try to relate to statements, ways to relate statements, how to relate statements. As per time period, Rahul, born in 1981, in 1985, Rahul went to school. In this example, sentence should be arranged in the order in which they actually happened. Subject verb agreement. Sonam, born 1985, in 1989, she went to school. In this example, in the first sentence, noun is used, whereas in the second sentence, pronoun is used. So, first sentence should be arranged before second. As per flow of activities, Raman bought vegetable from the market. Raman cooked dish. In this example, Raman can cook dish only after purchasing vegetables from the market. So sentence should come first. Points to remember while solving questions. Important points for sentence rearrangement. Sentences that have full names mentioned are either the starting or come in the first few sentences of a paragraph. Similarly, the sentences that have they, him, or her, or the short names would only come after the proper introduction of the person. If there are pronouns like it, this, that, etc. in the sentence, then it simply means that they have already discussed about the subject. So in maximum cases, It will not be the first sentence. I and you are expectations for this rule. Sentences that begin with "and," "but," etc. usually follow the central theme with an explanation to the same or give additional information. A central theme around which the passage is framed. Identif- Identify the central theme, which is usually the first sentence. A logical sequence is present which usually describes the central theme. In maximum cases, last sentence ends with some conclusion or statement. The best approach to solving jumbled questions is to develop a high reading speed and try to scan all sentences. Try to get a feel of what the passage is about. At this point, we need to decide whether this particular paragraph is one which we are comfortable with or not. Now scan the answer options and see if they are of any help. Following points will help you in getting close to the solution. Try to understand the tone of writer. Look for the first statement in starting statement writer tries to write about the concern. Now look for concluding statement. In this, writer gives his opinion about the concern. Try to relate to statements. Types of questions. Parajumbles jumbled boldly fall in four categories. In each category, the jumbled sentence are coded with an alphabet. Here is a description of the types. Sentences are given a random order and you have to rearrange all of them. The opening sentence and four or five sentences are given and you have to rearrange the group of four or five sentences. Four or five sentences and the closing sentence is given and you need to correctly sequence four or five sentences so that the meaning comes first, comes perfect. Opening sentence and four or five sentences and closing sentence are given. You know where the discussion starts and where it ends. You only have to figure out the sequence in between. Since the advent of smartphones, they are only licensed to use it, to accept that they do not control the software in their devices. Consumers have been forced. ये आंसर हो जाएगा इसका डी बी सी ए। सबसे पहले किसकी बात चल रही है? कंज्यूमर्स हैव बीन फोर्स। किसके लिए फोर्स किया जाता है? द सॉफ्टवेयर इन देयर डिवाइस। जो सॉफ्टवेयर उनकी डिवाइस में है, नहीं, कंज्यूमर से एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए करा जाता है दैट दे डू नॉट कंट्रोल द सॉफ्टवेयर इन डिवाइस। जो कंज्यूमर है वो सॉफ्टवेयर को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकता सिंस द एडवेंट ऑफ स्मार्टफोन्स। Financial firms need to view the new law not as burden but an opportunity as it will bring transparency into European markets। ये आंसर हो जाएगा नो अरेंजमेंट नीड, एकदम सही है। In recent days, China has triumph of industrial policy and engineering, world's fastest long distance bullet train set the record for the which run between Beijing and Shanghai at 271 km/h is हाँ। क्या हो जाएगा? ये तो लास्ट हो नहीं सकता, लास्ट में ए आ रहा है तो यहाँ पर क्या होगा? CBDA set the record for the world fastest long distance bullet train which ran between Beijing and Shanghai at 217 km/h and is a in a recent days China has a year earlier than expected. The world's largest surpassed thanks to the global stock market boom. Norway's sovereign wealth fund $1 trillion in assets. ACADB सी आंसर हो जाएगा नॉर्वे सॉवरन वेल्थ फंड अ ईयर अर्लियर देन एक्सपेक्टेड। फिर डी आंसर हो जाएगा 1 ट्रिलियन इन एसेट्स। फिर बी हो जाएगा थैंक्स टू द ग्लोबल स्टॉक मार्केट बूम। हाई मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट्स means that the number of wealthier stations around the world is shrinking, making it more difficult to forecast flash floods and landslide। ई रॉन्ग आंसर हो जाएगा। Researchers are now using different computer models to examine how the climate responds to change in carbon emission levels and to confirm that enough is being done to combat global warming। ये आंसर हो जाएगा At first glance, it seems that as productivity growth seems to be weak in comparison to other areas, but economists opine otherwise. America's economy is in a nut. फिर हो जाएगा DABC। सबसे पहले आ जाएगा अमेरिका। अमेरिकाज इकोनॉमी इज अ नट। ठीक है। फिर आ जाएगा ए, हैज़ प्रोडक्टिविटी ग्रोथ सीम्स। फिर आ जाएगा बी, टू बी वीक इन कंपैरिजन। फिर आ जाएगा तुम्हारा सी, टू अदर एरियाज बट इकोनॉमिस्ट अपॉइंट अदरवाइज। ठीक है। Waste collectors collect 4/5 of the city's recycled waste, and empty aluminum cans are recycled, but thanks to them, 98% of the countries, a lot more remains to be done. E हो जाएगा ACBD, the city's recycled waste, and फिर आ जाएगा C, thanks to them 98% of the countries। फिर आ जाएगा B, empty aluminum cans are recycled, but फिर आ जाएगा D, a lot more remains। The World Trade Organization (WTO) is all 164 members have to agree to the new rules, mean to be a form for reaching. So agreement is as elusive many a time, trade deals and resolving disputes। फिर E हो जाएगा BDAC। ठीक है। mean to be a form for reaching trade deals and resolving dispute, but all 164 members have to agree to the new rules। फिर आ जाएगा सी, सो एग्रीमेंट इज elusive many times, according to the World Economic Forum, still outscores other rich countries is its culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, aside from market size, the variable on which America। डी आंसर हो जाएगा इसका DABC। ठीक है। द वेरिएबल ऑन विच अमेरिका। फिर आ जाते हैं स्टिल आउटस्कोर अदर रिच कंट्रीज। फिर हो जाएगा बी इज इट्स कल्चर ऑफ इनोवेशन एंड एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप। सी असाइड फ्रॉम मार्केट साइज। It also launched a policy to ban private cars one workday a week based on the last digit of the number plate, and has put restrictions on the number of vehicles from outside the city and raised parking fees in urban areas. Beijing's annual bill for traffic congestion amounts to 70 billion yuan, 11.3 billion, a recent study has found. However, such measures have done little in reducing congestion. The study further states that 80% of the total loss related to time wasted waiting, 10% to gas, and 10% to environmental damage. In 2011, it introduced a lottery system to rein in the number of vehicles people buy. As a result, owing to those owing to these losses, the city started tackling the problem years ago. अब आ जाते हैं डी, विच ऑफ द सेकंड। डी आंसर बन जाएगा इसका। कितने हैं इसमें? सेकंड नहीं, फोर्थ। फोर्थ क्या हो, सेकंड क्या हो जाएगा? सेकंड हो जाएगा डी। ठीक है। फोर्थ क्या हो जाएगा? फोर्थ हो जाएगा ई। सिक्स और लास्ट क्या हो जाएगा? लास्ट हो जाएगा सी। फिर फर्स्ट क्या हो जाएगा? सी, यानी कि डी नहीं, बी। सी बी, अच्छा ये बी फर्स्ट। फिफ्थ क्या हो जाएगा? ए हो जाएगा। सेकंड क्या है? डी। फिर फोर्थ है ई, बी, डी, ई। फिफ्थ हो जाएगा तुम्हारा ए, और ये हो जाएगा तुम्हारा सी। BDCE A। Beijing's annual hill for traffic congestion amounts to 17 billion yuan, 11.3 billion, a recent study has found. However, such measures have done little in recording सी आ जाएगा। उसके बाद क्या है, डी, the study further states that 80% of the total loss related to time waste waiting, 10% gas and 10% to environmental damage। ठीक है, फिर आ जाएगा सी, however such measures have done little in reducing congestion। फिर आ जाएगा तुम्हारा ई, in 2011 it introduced a lottery system to gain in the number of vehicles people buy। ठीक, फिर आ जाता है ए, it also launched a policy to ban private cars one workday a week based on the last digit of the number plate, and has put restrictions on the number of vehicles from outside the city and raised parking fees in the urban areas। अब कर लेते हैं 16। If sentence C, presidential election in India are usually tame and predictable, and 2017 does not promise to be any different, is the first sentence. What is the order of other sentence after rearrangement? इसका हो जाएगा आंसर सी, ए एफ बी, ए एफ बी सी ई। टू डेट, the election of V.V. Giri over Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy in 1969 remains the only notable exceptions to the long list of humdrum presidential election। इसके बाद आ जाते हैं एफ, प्राइम मिनिस्टर की बात हुई थी उसमें। प्राइम मिनिस्टर इंदिरा गांधी called for a conscience vote just before the voting, and a sizable number of Congress parliamentaries and legislators voted against the official candidate Reddy in favor of Giri। इसमें वीवी गिरी कंप्लीट नेम है, इसमें गिरी छोटा है, तो फिर जब भी कंप्लीट नेम आएगा वो कैसे आएगा, वो पहले आएगा, बाद में शॉर्ट फॉर्म आएगी उसकी, शॉर्ट फॉर्म उसकी बाद में आएगी। फिर बी, बिफोर एंड आफ्टर दैट हाउएवर द फेवरेट्स हैव कैरीड the day and opposition sponsored candidates putting up no more than a symbolic battle to prove no more than a political point. At present, the numbers are stacked against the opposition for the July 17 election. The Bharatiya Janata Party with its regular allies and newfound partners should be able to see any non-controversial candidate through। ठीक है, फिर आ जाएगा ई, ये हो गया। If sentence C, the is immediately claimed responsibility for the attack that killed 12 people is the last sentence of the paragraph, then which of the following sentence does not fit into a paragraph from after rearranging after sentence? A. This is immediately took responsibility for the incident that killed 12 people. Though it is involved in the fight against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, Iran has so far largely remained insulated from the local crisis. The terrorists clearly wanted to communicate a message to the Iranian state, and they retained the element of surprise. The attack, the first major terror incident in Iran in many years, suggests that even the formidable security cover put in place by the Allied Revolutionary Guards can be broken by terrorists. But the attacks and the Iranian response must also be seen in the context of heightened Saudi Arabia-Iran rivalry. Wednesday's attack in Tehran hit the two most significant symbols of the 1979 revolution, the parliament and the bomb of Ayatollah Khomeini, the founder of the Islamic Republic। अब इसका आंसर हो जाएगा डी, ई आंसर इसका सही हो जाएगा। कैसे? ई एफ बी सी। सबसे पहले बट द अटैक, ये तो गलत है। मेंशन क्वेश्चन सेंटेंस द इज इमीडिएटली क्लेम्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर द अटैक that the 12 people is last sentence of paragraph. From current paragraph, the paragraph talk about terror attack. E से start होगा, but the terror attacks and the Iranian response must also be seen in the context of heightened Saudi Arabia Iran rivalry. ये आंसर हो जाएगा। इसके बाद the is IS immediately took responsibility for the incident that killed 12 people. फिर तुम्हारा आ जाएगा F. Wednesday's attack in Tehran hit the two most significant symbols of the 1979 revolution, the parliament and the bomb of Ayatollah Khomeini, the founder of the Islamic Republic. F आ जाएगा, फिर आ जाएगा B. Though it is involved in the fight against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, Iran has so far largely remained insulated from the local crisis. फिर लास्ट हो जाएगा C. The terrorists clearly wanted to communicate a message to the Iranian state and they retained the element of the surprise. ठीक, इसके बाद यहाँ इसका अगला करेंगे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में।